Do we have liftoff? Let me see. It's still potentially still, yeah, maybe that's me now. Hello, everybody. I hope you can see me. I hope you can hear me. I don't think any of you have arrived yet. That's fine. But hopefully you will be here soon. Hello, somebody has indeed arrived. So today I will be chatting about phrasal verbs, some writing tips, and speaking part 3, primarily again for the FCE and CAE exams. But we'll see. I mean, I know some of you may want the CPE at some point. Maybe that's something we can talk about another day. Hello, people. Welcome. This is my second live today, as I think people already knows. I think you watched the other one. So let's hope it goes as well as that one did. So what I would like to do first is talk about phrasal verbs. So these are something that causes a lot of issues. Partly, I think, because phrasal verbs that sound like the opposite, hello Claudia, are not. Like take on and take off are not opposites where you would expect them to be. So here, what I would recommend you do we've got a good few people now. Let's see. Let's keep on coming. What I would recommend you do when studying phrasal verbs, I'm going to try and show you something. I don't know if you can see that very well. I will talk you through it, but I would write a word, like the main word, like put, make, get, the common words that you would usually come across in phrasal verbs. Then, as you can see here, I've got different words here. I've got, so make out, make up, make away. This is just really my notes. As you can see, my notes can be fairly messy, but I understand them at least. And it's just to show you the idea. So you have make up, make out, make away, or make off. That's once you have the phrasal verbs in that way, I would write the meaning and I would write an example sentence. I think that's the best way of doing it. So I'll just go through a few of them. If you want me to maybe make a post about them, because I'm not, apart from the notes I just shown you, I'm not going to be doing slides or anything like that. But if you want me to make notes on something, let me know. But we have, first of all, we have make out. And make out, so let's just see. Claudia, it's 7 o'clock here. It's 7 o'clock over here. I believe you are a few hours behind us. So we have make out. Now, make out can mean kissing. Like, for example, Julie made out with John, or they made out. So that's something that you can say. It's quite frequently used with teenagers and young adults as opposed to older adults like myself. But it is definitely still used made out that way. There's also made out when you're trying to see something. Maybe it's far away, maybe it's a bit difficult to see. So, for example, you could say, can you make that out? You're basically asking, can you understand? Can you read what you're trying to say here? That's basically what this is. Another one is make up. make up, again, you can have a couple of different meanings here. So you have make up, which is invent a story. So I'm sure he's just made that up, would be an example there. But it can also mean to compensate. Compensate, that's the word I'm looking for. So compensate. So I'll make it up to you. You'll notice that there was an extra pronoun there, but I'll make it up to you. I'll do anything. Please don't sack me. Basically, you've done something wrong and you're trying to make it up. Well, make it up. I just used the phrasal verb. You're trying to compensate for it. You also have make off, which is like an opinion, which sounds unusual. But if I say, what do you make of Tom? You're basically saying, what do you think of Tom? Or what do you think about Tom? So it's very useful in a speaking, for example. You could say, what do you make of this option? Rather than saying, what do you think? Because that's going to be higher level language that will be really beneficial for B2, C1, even C2. Another one we have here is make for. So when we make for something, we're going towards that direction. So let's make for the exit. It's like, let's go towards the exit. Not going to say too many more here, but there's makeover. A makeover has a very similar idea here in both these circumstances. But a makeover could mean that somebody has got new clothes, a new haircut, a new look. But it can also mean that a house or something along those lines has been renovated. So quite similar idea, but one's more focused on people, one's more focused on like buildings, for example. Oh, I do have one last one. You can say make away or make off with, which is like to escape or run away. So you could say the thieves made off or made away with £100,000. You know, they've escaped, they've ran away. So that's all I'm really going to talk to you about in terms of phrasal verbs. I think it might be a good idea. Obviously, you have access to this video. I will keep it on this group. I will have it on Facebook YouTube as well. So feel free to look at it. Feel free to repeat it. But it might be quite a good idea to write a post about that one day. So I'll bear that in mind, just so you see. It might be easier for you to see that. Next thing I want to talk to you about, is the writing tasks. We talked about writing in the last live, but there were a few things I could still talk a bit more about. I know that some of you were concerned about the writing still. I know that the focus was in the CAE. Really, I think most of the advice I give you can be used for the majority of levels, in fact. So, but pick and choose, I suppose I would say here, because some of you will be looking at the PET level, some of you will be looking at CAE, CPE. So I think most of you will see that there is things that you can look at in general, and I'm going to focus on some of that now. So, first of all, the content. I don't mean to be patronizing, but please answer the question. The reason I say this is that I've seen so many students not do this, and excellent students at that. This is not like people who aren't trying. These are people who are very good students and they still don't get the question right. In the FCE, quite frequently, it's because they haven't written their own idea. And if you do that, you're going to lose at least 1 mark because you've not answered the full question. But one thing I've noticed is that while it's not that people are completely wrong. What the problem is that people are maybe saying something and then trying to make it more relevant by connecting it to the question, but in the last line. So, for example, I saw this essay somebody wanted marked a while ago, and he could not understand why he got a C. He passed, but he couldn't understand. He thought, this is surely at least a B. He could not understand. And other people also agreed with him, like said, yeah, I don't understand. That cannot be a C. That cannot be just a pass. Truth is, it was definitely a C. And the reason why was there were some points that he clearly tried to link to the question, but in the last sentence, and only the last sentence. So I saw a paragraph, and then it was linked in the last line to the question, but then the rest of it, nothing. The rest of it is not relevant, or not as relevant as it should have been. So be aware of this, because that is a trap that people can easily fall into. They think, oh, there's a little connection here, that's fine. No. Just going to say it's not okay. You're going to lose marks. It needs to be all really, really focused on the question. So this is the reason why I mention the content, because it's very, very possible that even if you say something to link the rest of your answer to the question, you might get a mark, but you're not going to get all the marks. Just to say it, be careful, very, very careful, because they're the easiest marks to get. But if you do not get them, it makes life very, very difficult. If you lose 2 marks in content, the maximum in theory is 18 out of 20. Realistically, you're probably lucky to get about 13. So just so you're very, very aware, losing marks there is critical. Very easy to get. If you lose them, it's difficult. Not difficult to pass, you can still pass. But if you lose 2 marks, you're not getting any higher than a C. If you lose 3, you failed. It's just that simple. So it's quite frightening. So that's why I say it's so vital to get those marks. Also, make sure you put things in your own words. Now, in a lot of it, for example, the FCE, you just have to make sure you do not use too much of the same vocabulary in the question, when you're writing the introduction, for example. Excuse me. But the CAE has those little opinions, those little quotes. You can use them. You don't have to. But you can use them, but just make sure that you're paraphrasing. Just make sure you're using synonyms. This is vitally important. Because if they see you just copying something, again, you're going to lose marks. So if you're using them, you have to make sure that you are paraphrasing. Another thing that's important is the style. In essays, you need to write formally. Letters to a friend, you need to write informally. Reports, again, proposals, that was the one I nearly forgot. That will be more formal. Reviews, depending, neutral to informal-ish, depending on where you're meant to be writing them. But the thing is here, you can write a perfect essay or a perfect letter, but you will lose marks if the style is not correct. So when you're writing in essays, make sure you're using the passive or impersonal expressions like it is said that. Also use more higher level, sophisticated language is also very important here. You can use simpler words and expressions in informal writing, although obviously don't go over the top with this, because you still want to show that you have a good level of English, of course. But you can get away with simpler expressions in informal language. But here you have phrasal verbs. They're very important to mention, as well as idioms if you can. Now, I have seen people write essays and use loads of idioms. I'm like, no, it's great language. That's the worst part. It's such good language. But the big problem is that it's not the right style. In the same way as somebody writing to a friend, I've seen a lot of people say, furthermore, moreover. In an essay, fantastic. In a letter, no. It's not the same. Hello, Herman. Nice to see you from Argentina. Perfect. I believe we've got a couple of people from Argentina here today. Excellent. So hopefully you're all finding this interesting, or at least useful. I'll just continue on here. And one last thing is I want to mention about the linking words. I'm an advocate of linking words. Use them as much as possible, please, because they do mark you on linking words. They do mark you a lot on linking words. This is part of the organisation part of essay writing. I was going to say writing tasks in general. Please, please, please use them. I would tend to focus on average, one linker a sentence. I would do it that frequently. Just make sure you're using a variety. Don't be saying the same, well, certainly don't say the same word. Don't say the same word. That's definitely not what we want to do. But there's two types of linkers. Ignoring the contrasts, ignoring the additions. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about ones that go in the middle of the sentence, ones that go at the start, primarily. The ones that go at the start, hello, Masifat, ones that go to the start, brilliant, perfect. And again, same, use the ones that go in the middle. But what I don't want you to do is to write a sentence and it ends up being 6 lines and it's a whole paragraph in itself. Because if you use sort of one, I've seen it loads. I'm trying to think of an example. You can say, for example, I like ice cream, and where I get ice cream from is a lovely place in this place where and you could literally, that's a bad example, of course. That is a bad example. But my point is, if you just basically say lots of sentences and join them with and, but, which, you're going to get a sentence that's about 6 or 7 lines, and it's going to be difficult for the examiner to read. So what I would do is use some of the linkers in the middle of a sentence, but also use ones that begin. I think that's very important. So you could say, for example, I think giving homework is very important because students need the time to, I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head here. Students need time to understand the material. However, we don't want to give students too much homework because then they will not have time to enjoy their lives. Furthermore, they won't have time to develop social skills in the same way as blah, blah, blah. Maybe not the best example I'm giving you right now, but you get the idea. You're trying to cut it. You don't want to give like a massive sentence here. You want to change it up. You want to use linkers in the start and the middle of a sentence. I hope that was clear. So basically, oh yeah, before I move on, just make sure your linkers are appropriate style and appropriate level. So like I was saying before, if you're writing to a friend, don't use on the other hand, don't use moreover, don't use furthermore. They're more essays, for example. They're more for essay writing, formal types of writing. So we'll continue on here. Excuse me. To speaking part 3. Now, speaking part 3 in the Cambridge exams, in the FCE and CAE, again, if anybody wants to do CPE, just let me know, and I'll organise something for you. As usual, I do tend to focus on FCE and CAE, but maybe one day I can focus on CPE, for example. Let me know if that's something that would interest. I know some of you do have that level or are looking to get that level, so absolutely go ahead with that. If you let me know. So basically, speaking part 3. So this is the activity where you get a question in the middle, and then you have 5 options to talk about. So you might get something like you're discussing ways to improve the environment, for example. As you probably know, environment frequently comes up in these exams. And maybe there's 5 points. I'm not going to say all 5, but you might have recycling, for example, more education on the environment, government legislation, for example. You might have these kinds of options to talk about. You will have 3 minutes for the activity with a partner, and the first 2 minutes you're talking about your ideas on each option you have. Then the examiner will thank you, as they generally do, and then they will ask you to choose the best one or best 2. That's usually what happens here. They will stop between those 2 tasks, though, so you don't have to worry, oh, should I give my opinion now? No, because the examiner will tell you when it's time. So just be aware of that. A few tips on this part. Don't say the best idea until you're asked. Because what happens is this. I could say, I think recycling is the best idea because... Then the examiner is going to ask me, about 2 minutes later, what do you think the best idea is? There's the problem. So you have to basically repeat what you've said, or you have to try and change your mind in some way, and it's just going to make it a lot more difficult for you. Also, you've not answered exactly what you should be in the first part, so you're going to lose marks. So again, just be very, very careful here. Hello, IA. I just noticed you. Hello. Welcome. Good to see that you're being seen all over the world today. So yeah, just going back to it here. So yeah, I think you have to basically make sure what you should be doing in the first part is talk about each idea and say, you can say if it's a good or bad idea and say reasons why. Just don't say it's the best or the worst. Avoid those words for sure. Wait until the examiner says. I can't stress that enough, basically. Also, no monologues. Hello. We've got a couple of people from Mexico and Uruguay. Oh, wow. Got quite a lot of people from South America today. Excellent. No monologues is what I would say. So when you're speaking in this part of the exam, you have a partner. And I've seen so many people talk about 3 options or 4 options in a minute. And then they ask their partner. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Focus on one at a time. And what I would say is, I heard this, in fact, in an academy I was working for. Treat it like a game of tennis. I thought this was a brilliant analogy. So basically, in tennis, the idea is you get the ball, you hit it away immediately. And in essence, you're trying to do something quite similar. You get the question, you answer quickly, and move it on. So what I would say, what I would say here is, for example, let's say I'm doing the exam, and then Daryl 2 is doing the other part. So Daryl 1, me, will give a brief opinion, but sorry, I'm just seeing loads of messages come up there. I'll come back to those. I'm in the middle of a point. Okay, so Daryl 1 will say a brief opinion and give a reason for it. And then I will ask my partner, Daryl 2, or D, we'll go with D, ask their opinion. So I could say, for example, I think government legislation is really important because people don't take environmental concerns very seriously, and something more official needs to be done. D, what do you think? And then my partner, D, or Daryl 2, will respond from with an opinion on my point. Then I will choose will choose another point, give a reason, and then ask an opinion. Really, you should be speaking about, about 20 seconds on each one. 15, 20 seconds. Just pick something, give an opinion, ask. Then they should respond, pick one, give an opinion, ask. Just do that for the 2 minutes, please. Because if you start talking for a minute, that's going to be difficult, because you get marks for interactive communication. And if you're just doing a monologue, you're not going to get marks for that, or you're going to get marked less. I'm from Northern Ireland, as Angela has said there as well, so my accent is a little bit different. I try to make it clear for you all. After 6 years of teaching English, I do tend to speak quite clearly. I have to. One thing I would say is that in Northern Ireland, sometimes we shorten words. So, for example, shower is shower, power. But I do try to make sure. Thank you, Tanmuna. I'm glad it's clear. Phew. Because you never really know. But the way I pronounce words before I taught English might have been quite different. But because I try to speak clearly, it's important for you to hear my accent, because people speak like me. It's not just me. But it is important for you to hear a variety of accents, but at the same time, I should try and speak reasonably clear. I don't have much more here, but let's just see. Oh, yes. This is a biggie. If you've got the 5 topics, please give an opinion before asking a question. Because if you ask, like for example, if I if I ask one of you, like say, I'm going to pick on one of you, Timona, you're the last person that I see has commented. So if I ask you, for example, in an exam, what do you think about government legislation in the environment? You might be very happy with that question, or you may be thinking, Daryl, why did you do this to me? Why did you ask a question where I know nothing about? Because you may not know much about this. I mean, you may know lots, you may know very little. So the idea here is give an opinion first. So when you're asking your partner's opinion, that means that they can basically nearly my laptop nearly fell. We're survived. What I was going to say, I've lost my train of thought here. 1 minute. If I say an opinion, then at least if the person knows nothing about the topic, they can still use your opinion to help them. Then they can say one sentence, move on quickly. But if you ask directly, that person may not have much of an opinion, and you're putting them on the spot. You're putting them in a difficult situation. So I would really, really hope that you do not ask a question directly. Make sure you say an opinion, then ask the question. It's just, I would say it's good etiquette. I don't know if many people teach it or many people do it, but I just think it's very, very important in this case. Not much more. So try to talk about, I obviously try to talk about the 5 if you can, but if you talk about 3 or 4, you're okay here. I think you're okay. I think ultimately you don't have too much of a problem. If you speak it less than 3, it's going to be harder for you to pass. You'd have to do very well. I would definitely say get 3 at least. If you get 3, you're sorted. In the last part, so you have that, what is the best idea? You don't have to talk about all the options again because you only have 1 minute. The chances are quite high you didn't have a chance to talk about all of them when you had 2 minutes, much less so when you have 1 minute. So just go, I think this idea is best because you should try to agree with your partner, but don't worry too much. Don't worry too much about agreeing. The important thing is you are trying to agree with your partner. That is the most important thing here. So if, for example, I say, I think recycling is best because and my partner, D, is saying, yes, I see what you're saying, but I think government legislation, we should have more laws protecting the environment because you're trying to make an agreement. You don't have to agree. But if I say, I think recycling is best because and your partner is like, nah, you're wrong. Obviously, that's just not trying to agree. I mean, that's an extreme example. You shouldn't come across that in the exam, of course. But you might come across somebody who is very confident in their opinion and less willing to move. The important thing is focus on your behavior. That's what I would say. You don't know what your partner is going to do, but you can focus on your own behavior. So if, for example, you have a very dominant partner, just try to answer the questions. You might have to interrupt a little bit. It will be understood because obviously the person is not allowing you to speak. You might also get more questions in another part of the paper just to make sure as well. You might have a very shy partner. who doesn't want to speak very much. But if you're asking them questions and trying to get their opinions, again, there's nothing you can do. You might have to speak more, but as long as you're trying to get them involved, you're not doing anything wrong. That's down to your partner and not yourself. So the examiners will understand that some are going to be more dominant and some won't be. They'll be the opposite, but that's fine. Sorry, Angela, you said sometimes you can play with words when you don't really know about the topic because there's no way you know about all topics. That's exactly my point. That is exactly what I was trying to say, is that you might not know about the topic. You might have no interest in the topic or a specific part of the topic. And if you're asked the question, that's going to be a problem. It's going to make you feel quite nervous. So try not to do it. Try not to put people on the spot because you really don't know. You might think it's easy, they mightn't. And that's all I can say, just be aware that what you find easy, other people might not. What you find interesting, you might have found, that's a really easy option, and they might not agree with you. So but if you have an opinion, they might be able to say something using your opinion, even if it's something like paraphrasing what you've said and then moving on swiftly. I think that's important. We're pretty much done. I'm going to talk a little bit about my classes again. So please don't run away. Oh, wow, I've got a couple extra. Okay, so as you know, I do things for free and absolutely there's no obligation at all. I mean, you can take part in every activity I put on Facebook. And if you don't want classes or anything like that, that's absolutely no problem. I'm not going to be saying, this person just always does it. Never wants classes. Very interesting. No, I'm not like that. In actual fact, I want to help as many people as I can. And this is part of the reason I do this page. It's also part of the reason I've got my group, or not my group, this is my group, my exam preparation with Daryl page, which is nowadays more general English, but we certainly have got idioms. We've got idioms. We've got some wee small grammar points here and there, some spelling mistakes, things like that. So again, if you haven't liked my page, Exam Preparation with Daryl, you can do that. And the information I put is different in both. Some of you are on both and can probably agree with me here. I do try to make it different. I don't want to be putting the same thing on both. It doesn't make sense to me. Oh, hi, Krish. Oh yes, I see tips. Yeah. I understand a bit of Spanish, so I understand tios. But yeah, great. I'm glad that you're finding it very interesting, very useful. So yeah, I'm just going to again speak about this. So I do things for free, but of course I'm looking for classes as well. I will be sending you things like, I'll be doing free reports. Some of you have expressed an interest in the reports I'm going to be doing. I'm in the middle of. I don't have an exact release date, but it will be coming. So yeah, basically I'll just sort of explain a little bit here. So the groups will be 6 people maximum. I'll probably start them with like 4 people, I would say, but maximum 6 people. If somebody wants a larger group, that may be possible if anybody is interested in that. But one thing I will say here, this is a biggie, is if you're doing an exam, if you're doing the FCE or the CAE, the CPE, the IELTS, the whatever, as long as it's an official exam. If we do the course, and you do not feel ready to pass the exam, you don't feel you can pass the exam at the end of the course, I will give you the rest of my classes for free. So obviously you have paid for the course. That's already, boom, sorted. If you don't feel comfortable, everything else will be for free. So I would like to say that I'm quite confident in myself when it comes to exam preparation. But like I say, if for some reason it doesn't work, I'll help you free of charge afterwards. So that is, I think, quite a good guarantee. Obviously, you can't take advantage of it. If you decide never to go to classes or something like that, that's obviously, boom, you're out. You can pay for them. But if you genuinely put a lot of effort in, you attend most of the classes, you do most of the homework, then I have no issue about giving free classes at the end of the course, if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you need. Also, I understand, of course, that people will feel a little bit I'm not going to be too harsh in that sense, because at the end of the day, I understand you're all adults, or maybe a couple of you are sort of older teens even. And I know you have like jobs, university courses, maybe you're preparing to go to university. So I understand maybe you can't attend every single one. The cutoff point would probably be around 70% here. So that's something that you can take into consideration. Everybody who's inquires about it, if you send me your email, I'll send you a free level test. And that's also useful for me to see your level in terms of whether I put you in a 3-month course or a 1-year course, or how I think it will be best. I'll also be offering a free 20-minute chat, which would also actually include the speaking part of the test. So again, that's something you may be interested in, even if it's nothing more to check your level. But there'll also be a free support group, kind of like this. In fact, it will be a Facebook, but it'll be a secret one for my students. So if you have any questions, that will probably be the best place to get them asked and answered if you do feel that you want to do this. You can ask them anywhere, but that will be your best chance of me seeing it a lot quicker. So like I say, that's the guarantee: free level test, free 20-minute chat, free support group. It's £50 a month for 2 classes a week, or if you prefer less, £30 for 1 class a week. That's a month. Like I say, the group is 6. There's a group, maximum 6 in a group. And if you're interested at all, please let me know. I would love to help you. I can do it. I know I can. Like I say, I've done it before. I've helped someone getting a job in the UK as a dentist. I've helped people getting positions in university or jobs after university. I love doing it. So I can definitely help. Like I say, if you're interested in classes, just send me a private message. You see me here. D Hughes is the one I use. My name is Daryl, but I use D as a kind of nickname for myself. Thank you, Herman. I'm glad that you've understood me. I'm glad it's clear. I always like to hope that. So, yep. Again, just we'll do another live, maybe another week or two. I'm sure I'll probably mention about my classes, just to warn you. But, of course, we'll do other topics. So just let me know if there's anything else you want me to speak about, whether it's something more grammar related, vocabulary related, exam related. That's absolutely fine. I'll do my best for you. And I hope you find these lives interesting. I will keep them on the group. I'll also put them into YouTube as well. So I hope that you find it interesting, or at least useful. I hope to hear from some of you anyway, if you're interested in classes or if you have any suggestions about anything you want me to talk about. Okay, we'll finish for today, I think. Thank you for your time, and I'll speak to you soon. I'll be doing a few more activities for you in the next few hours, or by tomorrow, certainly. So I haven't forgotten about you. Okay, bye for now. Have a good evening.